Most riders think pumping rollers and jumping jumps are basically the same thing. And yeah, at first glance, they look similar. You're pushing into the bike and working the transition. But here's the truth. While the movements look alike, they're actually very different skills. Pumping rollers is about generating speed by working the downside transition. However, jumping is about creating lift by working the upside transition. And if you can learn the difference, both skills will improve dramatically. So today, we're going to break it down step by step. Hey everybody, before we get into this video, I'd like to take a second and thank a very select few Patrons who really stepped up during this time of need, as I just got severely injured, was in the hospital for a few days, and now have hospital bills along with my regular bills. Klaus, thank you so much, along with Alex Pincus, Steve Tachuk, sorry if I botch anyone's last name, Ryan Moore, Nikita Borodinkin, and Kevin Bennett, as well as Chris. Thank you guys so much for reaching out, sending me some money through PayPal or Venmo. You guys have no idea how much that helped. If anyone would like to help out with some of my medical bills as I continue to make content, I'm not giving up. We're gonna keep going. We are getting back on the bike soon, but we're still able to create this content. So we hope you like it. And guys, thanks again. Really appreciate it. So what is pumping really? Pumping is about turning terrain into free speed. And it's the backside of the roller where the magic actually happens. The rider is going to unweight going up each transition, while then pushing down on the backside of each transition. Unweighting, and then pushing down through the transition. Again, unweighting, so the speed you created with this transition isn't lost going up the next transition. We want to unweight so that speed can carry up the roller. And then again, we bring our weight down to push through that backside transition to create speed on that bottom transition. And then again, as we go up the next transition, we're going to unweight. The faster you can sink the transition, the more speed you create. So to practice, find yourself a set of mellow rollers and make sure that there's some space in between each one and they're not just stacked on top of each other. If they're stacked on top of each other, you're gonna need more of a rowing motion, and that's not what we're learning today. We're learning pump rollers, which are rollers kind of spaced out where you're gonna pump each roller individually. As you approach the roller at the bottom of the transition, you're going to unweight your body weight. You want your body weight unweighted the whole time you're going up the transition. So if you're going super, super slow, you might not make it up the transition. But don't come in really fast. Come in at a nice moderate pace so you can start to build speed with each roller. Back to what you're gonna do. As you reach the top of the roller, you're gonna sink your weight back down into the bike. Don't force your body weight really hard just to engage the suspension. Notice on the backside of the roller how I'm gracefully pushing down. Push, push, push. Again, you should feel yourself accelerate at the backside of each roller. Try filming yourself at this angle to see if you're actually unweighting up the transition, or if you're getting sucked into the face of the transition because you're not unweighting at the right spot. Notice how I push down nice and evenly. And as I go through this last bit of transition, notice how I kind of push the bike through. Right there. It's really hard to see. It's subtle. Pushing the bike through. This is really where you're going to create that speed. And if you're on an asphalt pump track, you're going to actually hear the tires go woof, woof, woof as you go through that backside transition. Absorbing up, pushing down. So if that's pumping, what is jumping really? Jumping looks like pumping, but the intent is different. Instead of pushing down into the downside transition, we're pushing down through the upside transition with the intent of carrying our bike up at the same angle as the actual transition itself. The more accurate your pump and how hard your pump is through this transition will determine how hard and how accurate your pop is. And without this pump up the upside transition, you're going to end up getting sucked into the transition instead of creating speed going up the transition. So how do we practice this pumping for a jump? Find yourself a very small tabletop with a lip that's at least as long as your bike length. Then I want you to come in at a slower pace than normal. Where this pump falls into your form going up the lip, because we all know, if you've watched my previous videos, that I believe that the J-hop is the form we should be looking to going off of the lip. And that is going to give us a great arc and give us the right bike control in the air. Now this pump happens with your body weight preload and accepting this direction change through the transition as your body accepts that it's going from down the trail to up the transition. Do you see my body position here? I've accepted the transition versus here where I'm going down the trail. Going down the trail, and now I've accepted the transition. Look at the body angle change. This accepting the transition is where the pumping happens. So you have more speed as you create that front wheel lift, put your body into the rear third, driving your rear suspension into the face of the jump, and then exploding off of the very tip of the lip, creating a negative of the transition that you just jumped off of, landing nice and smooth, front tire first, and then setting all your weight down into that rear suspension. So while both pumping and jumping rely on transition, pumping is relying on the downside transition and unweighting on the upside transition. While jumping, you're waiting in the upside transition. It's just backwards, guys. Pumping is jumping more or less in reversed. Kind of the same thing, but different. So why do riders get these confused? Well, they both deal with pushing into terrain. One is to get air, and the other is to create speed. Both require good body-bike separation. To the untrained eye, they do look similar. And once you understand the differences and the purpose of each style pump, you can practice them separately and then combine them. And here's where it gets cool. Rollers and jumps often live on the same trail.
Oh, just so good!
So pumping rollers teaches you timing and pressure control, and that timing directly translates into jumping off of lips. If you can't pump, you're gonna struggle with jump control. So the most common mistakes with jumping is people are unweighting up the lip instead of pumping the transition. If you're unweighting up the lip like you would a roller, you're basically jumping up the jump instead of pushing into the transition and jumping off the jump. Along with that, you'll see people unweight up the lip and then try to pull the bike straight up. And again, look, this two-wheeled lift, I'm jumping this rear wheel not even halfway up the jump. So I'm having to cover all this space before I leave the lip with my bike. Right? See how short I come? All that distance that I'm short of the landing is because I use that two-wheeled stand up to the jump, push straight up and unweight. Look, my rear wheel is unweighted at the very bottom. So I'm gonna have to travel a full bike length before I can even start to travel across the tabletop. And this is where timing and the correct form really come in. On the reverse side of that, remember that pumping rollers is about pumping the downside transition and then unweighting the upside transition to carry the speed you created in that previous downside transition. If you pump the upside of a roller, you're going to end up shooting off the top of the roller and ending up down in this transition, completely killing your speed. Speed killed. So make sure you're using the right pump in the right situation. Pumping rollers to gain speed, you're pumping the downside transition. If you're trying to get air, you're pumping the upside transition. So, while pumping and jumping might look similar, they're really two different skills with two different goals. Pump the downside for speed, pump the upside for lift. Master those differences and you'll be smoother, faster, and more controlled everywhere on the trail. Start small, drill it in, and you'll feel connection the next time you ride. We hope you liked this content. If you did, please make sure to let us know in the comments, and always make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We say it all the time, but it's so true. Our Patreons are the reason that we can create this channel and why we can keep putting out this content. If you'd like to support this channel, please use the link in the description to become a paid Patreon. If this video spoke to you specifically and you'd like to leave me a little attaboy tip, please use my PayPal or Venmo link in the video description. Until the next time, guys, keep the rubber side down, and thanks for watching.